What up, y'all, and welcome back to another Pokemon Pocket update video. And for today, we're diving into the meta side of things. Well, the off meta, that's right. All those creativity, all that brewing. We're gonna cover the top 10 decks that have been crushing, and I mean absolutely crushing the tournament scene. So if there's something that you're into, I love it, stick around and let's just dive right onto this video. And before we get into things, y'all, only about 6% of you who are watching are subscribed, so go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell button if you're enjoying the content, because we're trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the month. All right, with that out of the way, let's get into it. So yeah, y'all, we're gonna go through the top 10 off meta decks that are like cruising through the competition this week. I definitely want to keep an eye out on these, see how well they do when it comes to tournaments next week and everything else like that. If this is something that you all like, just let me know in the comments. I think off meta decks are such a great time. And just to kind of kick things off, yes, you have your Moltres, yes, you have your Charizard, but I think what makes this off meta is that you have your Volcronas here. Volcronas, please let me know how I'm saying this right or not. For 3 energy, deals 80 damage to any Pokemon. I think that's really awesome to see it be in a deck. And then obviously you do have your Charizard, it is carrying that. But like, there are things that are hiding in the back. This thing is a stage 1. It gets online pretty quickly, so you can feed this Volcrona, you can build the Moltres. Between these two, it's 150 damage while you're trying to find this. Sometimes it's not consistent enough, so you need something else. And where you had those mons that were hiding behind your Judgeodons to weaken up Charizard and like all these guys, well, you can bypass that with Volcarona, and you couldn't do that before. So I kind of like this. This feels spicy, and maybe we'll start to see more of this. All right, let's get into some more cooks, y'all. This is a Tentacruel Hypno deck, and it's like you got your, I'm assuming this plays only water energy, because you can use your Hypnos to keep folks asleep. You have your Articunos and your Lapras EX that feeds off of the Misty here. Tentacruel is such a good stage 1 mon. It's bulky, it hits for 50, and you're poisoning it. So technically that first turn you're dealing 60 damage, and the poison continues to go down. And what's really cool to note here is that sleep and poison stack. So if your opponent's asleep, they're still taking that poison damage, and so you're just chunking away at their health, and that's a lot. 1 turn of sleep could mean the difference. And while that's happening, you're building up your Lapras EX, or you're building up your Articuno, which also has Paralyze. I don't know, y'all. So this feels pretty good. We continue down the line with this Zebstrika Jolteon deck, and I'm gonna say this, y'all. I think Jolteon is slept on. We know how powerful Mew can be. We know how powerful Tauros can be. You're deciding between the two, and when given your situation that you're playing out hand, if your deck is not really playing a lot of, or the opponent's deck's not playing a lot of EX mons, you can put up the Mew EX, or if they are playing a lot of EX mons, you can put up the Tauros. Your Zebstrika deals with their backline, but this Jolteon, for 4 coins, can do up to 160 damage, which means on average you're dealing 80. Feels pretty good. And since it's only 2 energy, you can get this online pretty quickly. And who doesn't love a coin flip EV to boot? This next deck is really focusing on Machamp as your finisher, and I think this is kind of one of those cards that like has kind of gotten forgotten, just maybe a little bit. But there is something powerful in its energy curve, where Machop is 1 energy, Machoke is 2, and Machamp is 3. And in that sense, especially if you're going second and you get energy first, you are dealing 190 damage in 3 turns. It's just insane. And then if they attack you and like knock you out, you have your Marshadow to help clean up. You have your Farfetch to deal attack and put pressure on there. That Hitmonlee to deal with the backline. And this is actually really interesting that they put Kangaskhan up here. And I think you know, it's tough to say like, hey, there are definitely moments where Kangaskhan is gonna net you 0 damage, but there's moments where Kangaskhan's gonna net you 60. And I think this cook is trying to like get away from this like Judgeodon, where like you're necessarily not using it to attack here, and like what can for like that, like for a higher HP for a tank that's in front, Kangaskhan can do that for you, and it kind of feels like a throwback to when we just had like our first set. Speaking of throwbacks to our first set, wiggly eggs, sleepy eggs, beds, and breakfast. What else you got? It's very interesting to see Wigglytuff EX kind of like leave the meta, which means that it's a sleeper, pun all intended. What usually your Wigglytuff EX served was as like kind of like your finishers, because you're able to put things to sleep. You put the hands of the games a lot of times on coin flips, but Mew EX was able to do that. So like, why not like pair your finisher Mew EX into this deck as well as an upgrade from Mythical Island? You have your leaves that allows you to easily switch around and retreat with your higher energy retreat costs, excuse me, with Executor EX and Wigglytuff EX. But this is great. You can literally just run grass energy in this. Executor only needs 1. Then you can safely build up your Wigglytuff in the back or your Mew in the back. I would switch out this red card for either a Giovanni or a Sabrina or a Potion. Either of those 3 would work. I would not keep red card in this, but that's okay. Some folks like it. I think you can do better. And here is another fun one, another card that's not explored as much, but like is doing well in tournaments, which is a Starmie EX, which we knew was a powerhouse from set 1, dealing 2 energy for 90 damage, free retreat cost, and 130 HP. Is really good. It's really good. And now you pair that up with Lumineon, which does 50 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So like, you crack them with Starmie EX, they try to run away, you retreat out of there and crack them with the Lumineon. 80 HP is pretty decent. So you can attack from there. You have your Farfetch in here as well too, which is really nice because it's an early attacker. It only takes 1 energy, so that way you're not messing up your curve. And then the rest of the cards here just kind of focus on getting your cards online or getting that damage onto your Pokemon or your opponent's Pokemon. We continue to see like fighting is finding its different forms, and in this one we're getting a Pidgeot Aerodactyl EX deck, which like plays off of the old Pidgeot where you're using your drive off, which like low key or high key is a very powerful ability to take advantage of switching your opponent's positions around and really kind of messing up what they're trying to do. And if you have this Aerodactyl online and you're messing them up with drive off, they are now getting forced to choose which basics or stage 1s they want to give up to either get hit with that 70 wing attack or that 80 land crush. As in all fighting decks, you'll definitely see a Hitmonlee and a Marshadow, because those cards right now are very pivotal for the fighting decks to continue to thrive, and I just find that this is really nice. If you're playing like the Pidgeot line, whether it's this or Pidgeot EX, it is good to note that you are using Genetic Apex Pidgey. Genetic Apex Pidgey and Genetic Apex Pidgeotto. Pidgeotto, 1 energy, much better. Instead of using 3 energy to attack, there's no need for that. And for the Pidgey, more health that you have to survive, so that way you can continue to evolve, is always key. The Bullfrog deck is doing wonders, y'all. You have this like Judgeodon, you have your wall is getting opponents are getting focused with this with their 20. A lot of times people don't like getting hit until they get set up, so therefore you are extending the game slows down, and now you're finding your pieces for building up your Greninjas while you're powering up your Tauros, because Greninja can still be very effective without the energy that's on there. And so when they take out their Judgeodon, and then they're still dealing with the Greninja, this 120 that Tauros can deal can really knock out a lot of EX mons, especially if you're able to get the Giovanni online with it as well, taking out Celebi, taking out Mew, taking out Pikachu, all of these mons out with 1 hit. And even when we take a look at the likes of Mewtwo, a Greninja or a Judgeodon hit with your Tauros and Giovanni in hand, clears the Mewtwo as well too. So it has all the tools to really compete with those top meta decks. Now this was an interesting cook. As we were like going through all the tournament data, seeing the high win rate, seeing the cards that are the decks that are doing well, this popped up. And this is a Gengar deck, and your EX mons, your finishers, are all kind of one-ofs here. So you have a one-of Jinx, which can deal with like your high-powered Celebies. It's a basic mon, you can still do high damage to it. You have your Gengar EX, which takes 3 energy. You have your Gengar, which takes only 1, and your Mew EX and Mewtwo EX. So I think the name of the game here really is just kind of find your line and go for it. If you have already gotten your Mew EX set up or starting to get set up, or your Mewtwo EX starting to get set up, really Mewtwo EX should really be served as just your finisher. It's kind of like hitting that EX mon to win you the game, because once you discard those 2 energy, like, you don't have ways to ramp up in this deck. But the Gengar basic version, the non-EX version, allows you to kind of conserve that energy and focus on the other ones and power those up, which is what I kind of really like here. If you're able to draw any of these earlier on, then you opt out to go for this Gengar. If you can't find these guys because they're one-ofs, you opt for this Gengar, and then you power up from there, leaving you room to pivot and like focus on what's in front of you. And then last but not least is eggs on eggs, y'all. It is 2 executes, 2 executors, and 2 executor EXs. Really just getting those walls up and going and dealing those damage for just 1 energy, where you're dealing up to 60 for the basic version, or dealing up to 80 with the EX version. You have your Mew in the back, you have your Farfetch to lead on for early pressure if you need to, and because the deck is so thin, where you're really just kind of focusing on your walls here, and then just using Mew EX as kind of one of your finishers, or even having Executor EX be your finishers, you have room to play Potion and Erica. So there could be a turn where you're healing up to 90 health. That's insane. That's just sometimes when you just plop all those on, where your opponents have been able to just kind of like whittle away at that health, it can be morally defeating. And a lot of times those people just hit that concede button because they're like, I gotta do this again. Off meta deck brewing is so much fun, just especially to see what people come up with. It's a lot of creativity that comes especially with this Mythical Island set. Let me know if you all like this. Go ahead with your like or with your subscribe. Definitely leave a comment down below, and I can't wait to interact with all of you all. So until the next one, y'all, stay brewing, stay creativity, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.